It rarely ends when it first starts hurting. It ends when there's nothing left to give. Before we go any further, if you're here to understand patterns instead of judging outcomes, stay with the channel and make sure you're subscribed. Most people assume women leave relationships the moment they become unhappy. That's comforting. It suggests clarity, strength, decisiveness. But reality doesn't work that way. Women don't usually leave when the relationship breaks. They leave when they do. Long before the breakup, there's a slow internal depletion happening. Not loud, not dramatic, quiet, invisible. She's still there, still functioning, still saying it's fine when it isn't. What's draining her isn't always conflict. Often it's effort without return. The female nervous system is highly relational. It tracks emotional flow the way a body tracks oxygen. When there's reciprocity, energy circulates. When there isn't, energy leaks. First, she compensates. She explains more. She adjusts more. She gives more benefit of the doubt. This doesn't come from weakness. It comes from hope. Hope that effort will eventually restore balance. And sometimes it does for a while, just enough to keep her invested. That intermittent relief is important. It teaches the nervous system to stay, to wait, to endure, because endurance becomes a form of attachment. Pause here for a moment. This isn't about blaming men or idealizing women. It's about understanding why staying feels easier than leaving, even when leaving would hurt less. Leaving requires acute pain. Staying spreads pain out slowly. The nervous system often prefers slow depletion over sharp rupture. So she stays. She stays through emotional neglect that's never acknowledged. She stays through feeling unseen but not mistreated enough to justify leaving. She stays through loneliness that doesn't look like loneliness from the outside. And each time she stays, she uses a little more of herself. There's a common misunderstanding here. People think women stay because they don't know their worth. Often, they stay because they do know it, and they keep trying to protect the relationship they believed would honor it. Leaving feels like admitting failure. Staying feels like loyalty. Loyalty drains quietly. Another pause. Notice how often women say, "I just need to try a little longer." That sentence doesn't come from confusion. It comes from emotional sunk cost. The more she's invested, the harder it is to stop investing. The nervous system doesn't like unfinished emotional business. It wants resolution, closure, repair. So she keeps giving in hopes of repair. But repair requires two people. When repair is one-sided, depletion accelerates. There's a moment when her effort shifts from hopeful to habitual. She's no longer giving because she believes it will change things. She's giving because it's who she's become inside the relationship. Caretaker, regulator, emotional stabilizer. Roles form quietly, and roles consume identity. She becomes the one who understands, the one who forgives, the one who holds things together. Being needed can feel meaningful, until it becomes exhausting. Here's an uncomfortable truth. Many women don't leave when they're hurt. They leave when they're numb. Hurt still contains energy. Anger still contains selfhood. Emptiness contains nothing. When she stops arguing, it's often read as maturity. When she stops asking for reassurance, it's seen as growth. But sometimes it's depletion. Silence doesn't always mean peace. Sometimes it means resignation. This is why breakups feel sudden to the other person. He didn't see the years of internal erosion. He saw stability, consistency, normalcy. What he didn't see was how much of herself she was spending just to maintain that normal. Another pause. Emotional labor is invisible until it's gone. When she finally leaves, she doesn't leave angrily. She leaves tired. No speeches. No ultimatums. Just quiet finality. Because by then, there's nothing left to negotiate with. Here's the contradiction people don't like. Staying too long isn't always about love. Sometimes it's about identity. Leaving means redefining who you are without the role you've been playing. And that's terrifying. So she stays until the role collapses under its own weight. Another layer here involves conditioning. Many women are taught, directly or indirectly, that good relationships require endurance. That love means patience. That leaving is failure. So they push past their own limits, not realizing limits exist to protect them. Strength becomes self-erasure. And self-erasure feels noble until it feels empty. There's also the hope that being indispensable will create security. That if she gives enough, she won't be abandoned. But indispensability doesn't guarantee commitment. It guarantees dependence. And dependence drains faster than love replenishes. Over time, she notices something painful. The more she gives, the less she's met. Not intentionally, just structurally. The relationship adapts to her overfunctioning. Her effort becomes baseline. Baseline effort isn't appreciated. It's assumed. That's when emptiness begins to solidify. She starts imagining life without the relationship, not out of fantasy, but relief. Relief from carrying everything. That imagination scares her at first. Then it comforts her. That's the turning point. When leaving feels lighter than staying, the decision is already made. By the time she says she's done, she's already grieved, already processed, already detached. What looks like emotional coldness is actually emotional exhaustion. Here's the expectation-breaking truth. Women don't stay because they don't know when to leave. They stay because leaving too early feels like abandoning their own investment. They leave when staying feels like abandoning themselves. That's the line. Once crossed, there's no dramatic fight. No bargaining phase. Just quiet withdrawal. And that's why "I didn't see it coming" is so common. You didn't see it because depletion is invisible until it's complete. The final realization is simple, but uncomfortable. Women stay until they're empty because hope lasts longer than energy. And when energy runs out, love can't compensate. Once emptiness sets in, leaving isn't an act of anger. It's an act of survival. See the pattern. Protect your energy. This is Depth Realm.